teachers and staff. Dr. Ivan from Cons here, excited to present our final parent-teacher conference for this specialized high school cycle. To all the students and parents watching at home, congratulations for getting this far. We are so proud of you. We're almost there. Let's take it through last month. Last month was the official end to the specialized high school program, even though we've all dedicated our payments and time until October 31st. We know that the exams this year has been announced for November 17th. So for all you 8th graders in middle school, it's Thursday, November 17th. All you students at Cons, free in-person classes all the way until the exam for your group classes. And for all you in-person workshop students at Jackson Heights, come by on Fridays and we have extra practice diagnostics from Cons tutorial for each and every one of you. Before we proceed, I want to remind you all to complete your SHSAT registration. The registration deadline for the specialized high school's exam is Friday, November 4th. That's Friday, November 4th is the registration deadline. So just remember that due to the extra time that we have between now and the exam, Cons tutorial is gifting free SHSAT classes to all of our students that have registered because we are here with you all the way until the end of the exam. All right, so let's talk about the most recent diagnostic. We have Diagnostic H, which is traditionally our last exam, and some final tips. But the good news is we also have Diagnostic R, also known as Diagnostic I, coming up this month for each and every one of you. So right now, between Diagnostic H and the final Diagnostic R, we have some final tips for you all. So let's look back to the last few diagnostics. A few months ago, a lot of you in the class took Diagnostic G. So we had 150 students take the exam in total, and then we had half of you score above a 62 or 65, and then half of you score below that. Fast forward 1 month later, a lot of you improved your scores closer to 70. So the top half of the class became above 70, and the lower half of the class was below that. So every single diagnostic, all of you that have been practicing at home have been improving. We know these top students get a special shout out, and that's because they have worked hard to earn themselves a 99. So congratulations, Mikok. Congratulations to those scoring the 94 in Fayaj and Richie. Congratulations to Faiza for the 91. Congratulations to Kevin and Sidra for the 90. Congratulations to Arman and Wafi for the 89. So students and parents, a lot of parents ask me, why is my child not improving? The biggest difference between the students at the top and the students who are still in the middle is the amount you practice at home. At Cons, we are all getting 4 hours for group classes. A lot of us are getting the extra 2.5 hours for workshops. Many of you took the extra summer boot camp classes. So now let's take a look and to see how everyone kept improving all the way to Diagnostic H. So for Diagnostic H, which was last week at the end of October, congratulations, the mean score went up 7 points. So that means more students are taking the exam with us here and preparing with us here at Cons. More of you are doing better. That means almost half of us already getting an offer from Stuyvesant High School, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, and Brooklyn Latin, not to name the top 4. And the rest of us have about 3 weeks, just 3 weeks left to practice every single day to get ourselves into that acceptance zone for all of you looking to score a seat at Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, and Brooklyn Latin. So I wanted to share the median score is also very close to 70. And this is when all of the information will click. All of you, all of your children, all of you students have taken the course and you already know the information up here. The only thing left is having that courage and the confidence to bring it all together and ensure to really do well in that exam. So now, let's take a look at what scores are required to get into the schools of our dreams. I know a lot of you, whether you're living out in Queens, Bronx, or Brooklyn, know that Stuyvesant High School has the highest cutoff. Traditionally at Cons, those students who scored 81% on 3 diagnostics have a really, really good shot at getting into Stuyvesant High School in Lower Manhattan. For Bronx Science, where I graduated from, a lot of our students who reside in the Bronx will be placing Bronx Science as a top choice. We just need 3 scores of about 75 or 76 to know that we are very, very confident about your chance at Bronx Science. As far as Brooklyn Tech, the beautiful thing about Brooklyn Tech is one of the largest magnet high schools across the country. That means Brooklyn Tech will be offering anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 seats. So if you have above a 68 or 70, you gotta rank Brooklyn Tech. Even if you don't, we're all ranking Brooklyn Tech. And finally, the cutoff for Brooklyn Latin. Brooklyn Latin is usually the school with the lowest cutoff required. Some of you who are in Brooklyn, Ozone Park area, different parts of Queens, we're all ranking Brooklyn Latin. And every single one of you who live in the Bronx, you still have to rank Brooklyn Latin. You never want to miss out and have a score for a school, but just because you didn't rank it, you miss out on the offer. So that's not going to happen to any one of you. So let's go back to what I just reviewed. If you grew up in Queens, like I did, and you're from the neighborhoods of Elmhurst, Woodside, Jackson Heights, South Ozone Park, Jamaica, Briarwood, Belrose, Woodside, Sunnyside, you name it, from Queens or from Manhattan, Lower East Side, Harlem, Midtown Manhattan, we're going to recommend that as long as you have a score above 70, it's safe to put Stuyvesant High School as your first choice. Secondly, we're going to have Bronx Science. If you live in Queens and you really, really want to go to York Science and have that extra attention and avoid that long commute, you can place York Science either above or below Bronx Science, depending on what's a bigger choice for you. But again, for every one of you residing in Queens, like I grew up, Brooklyn Tech and Brooklyn Latin have to be on our list. Moving over, if you are a Bronx resident and you're in Parkchester, Castle Hill, Unionport, Moshulu, even though we live in the Bronx, we want to make sure you get an academic opportunity to get out of the neighborhood a little bit. Stuyvesant High School should still be your #1 choice. If you have above a 70, and if you're a Bronx resident, you still want to try Stuyvesant High School as your #1 choice. After that, we're thinking about Bronx Science. If you want to put a High School of American Studies at Lehman College to be in the borough, you can put that. But again, even if you live in the Bronx, you have to put Brooklyn Tech and Brooklyn Latin as your choices. Now finally, for our Brooklyn residents, or Ozone Park residents, or Woodhaven residents who are on the border of Brooklyn and Queens, you still got to put Stuyvesant High School as your #1 choice. And if you have the scores, oftentimes, depending on what you're looking to do, Bronx Science can still be a fantastic experience, even for Brooklyn residents. And if you're from Brooklyn, you know you have to put Brooklyn Tech, Brooklyn Latin, and even Staten Island Tech to round it out. So whether you're from Queens, Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, Brooklyn Latin, whether you're from the Bronx, you can add High School of American Studies at Lehman, or whether you're from Brooklyn and Staten Island area, you can add Staten Island Tech. Most of the list stays the same. So school rankings, you'll have another opportunity during test day. So all you students during test day, remember to bubble in the rankings accordingly. You have to know where to match your first choice. That's going to be down here, Stuyvesant. Second choice, up here, Bronx Science. The third choice, back to over here, Brooklyn Tech. Brooklyn Tech, Brooklyn Latin, fourth choice. So you just have to match up the chart. We've taken these Scantron sheets since childhood. You all know what to do. So now just remember, diagnostic F, G, and H. You want to make sure you have some great diagnostic scores above 70. Best steps for students during class, always, 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 like we said all year long, keep your cameras on, complete your homework on time, and dedicate a lot of time to homework in the final month. Annotate, annotate, annotate. I don't like reading comprehension myself. Sometimes this is too boring for me, and sometimes I have to use my #1 best friend on the exam, let me get a pencil from here, please. Let me get a pencil, because when I'm taking this, I'm looking to scribble every 3 lines. Every 3 lines, I want to make sure I still understand it. And then at the end of every single paragraph, thank you very much, at the end of every single paragraph, you just write this down. Freezing temperatures in the US. Volcanic eruption decreases temperatures. Over here we have dust block sunlight. So whatever paragraph you're finishing, you gotta write 2-3 words to summarize. And you never gotta be afraid of running out of time, because that is the most important way you can do really, really well in the exam. As always, we always recommend doing the ELA section first, then the math section. Even though I'm stronger in math, the most difficult sections of the test you want to get done early. That's when the deepest work can happen. Those are some tips that we have for all students. So, thank you to all of the parents who've been with us for every single group conference. I've had this conversation for 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, and a lot of parents who show up, get this information, are already getting A's. But if you're seeing this for the first time, it's not too late. You just have to double up the work. So from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, all of us are going to be at school. We have 8th grade school, go to school, finish the classes. When you come home between 3 and 4, take 1 hour to rest. We have to be resetting, we have to recharge, we have to rest, we have to watch a little TV, we have to just relax. Once we're feeling relaxed enough and have a little food in our system, you have to start your cons practice work from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. That's 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, that's 3 hours every single day before you start your school homework. So after that, have a quick dinner, finish up your school homework between 7:30 and 8:30, and by 10 o'clock, you gotta go to bed. This is not the month to continue going to bed at midnight. I know a lot of you like going to bed at midnight. I grew up in Queens, and you know, with my family, I'm an immigrant, and I love going to sleep late. I don't have a bedtime, but we're not gonna have that for this final month before the exam. So always start with cons homework first, then finish your school homework. Always start with cons homework first, then finish your school homework. For the next final month, spend 2/3 of your time doing practice SHSAT for the specialized high schools, and only dedicate an hour maximum to your school homework. You cannot dedicate and get distracted by 8th grade school homework this month. You have to deprioritize that, and the most important thing is practice sets, practice sets, practice sets. We don't have too much time left. We only have 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You may be watching this with the exam a week away. So you need to understand that the earlier you start putting all that together, hopefully early in November, by the time you take the exam on November 17th or through the 20th, you will be more than ready to conquer and get the exam and get a really, really good score. So how to practice? Start with Eureka sections. We've said that. Check. Practice time sections. You have to make sure you're not spending more than the time allows. That's an hour and a half for the ELA section, which we're going to do first. Hour and a half for the math section. Be sure to complete our book lists. We've provided the book lists for you all via email, via video, through live in-person conversations, through Zoom meets. We've provided all the supplemental material that you can download or purchase on Amazon. It's really, really about time that you finish as many of those as possible. And if you're ahead, you can go to the more advanced book lists at the end here. And you also have access to the SHSAT handbook on the internet. The New York City Department of Education, by law, makes sure this is available for all of us. As a New York City school student, you've got to be on this and make sure we can get ourselves into one of these top magnet high schools in the country. So finally, while we are all on our way to a specialized high school, there are some terrific high schools in other parts of New York City. For example, in Queens, one of the best boroughs, don't forget that, we got Townsend Harris. We also have a lot of con students who end up in Nez Percent. Even though you're preparing for Stuyvesant, Brock Science, and Brooklyn Tech, for a lot of the students that just miss out, Nest plus M will be an excellent landing spot. We also have Bard Early College, Beacon High School, Midwood High School, Goldstein High School. So that's about it. You have 15 to 17 high schools in New York City that are really worth attending. And you've already spent 6 months to a year with cons for the specialized high schools. And just as backups, we have some other options here too. So ultimately, practice a lot, have the courage, eat well, sleep well, be organized, have your confidence. Just remember that you've done the hard work, you're at the finish line. So just wanted to remind us all that success is the sum of small steps and efforts repeated. It's not going to happen overnight, but it has to start right away. 2 to 3 hours every single evening. Follow our rankings and give us a call when you get into one of the specialized high schools. Congratulations for making it this far, and we can't wait to celebrate with you all. See you soon.